Hello, what is up? So, this is like a part 2 AMD fluid motion frames versus lossless scaling. And there is one thing I've been noticing, and that is a performance cost, which it doesn't really, it just turns me off it a bit more. But I have found AMD's technique is less costly. So, I think that is pretty much what I'm finding with lossless scaling. It is just it seems to knock your base FPS down even more. So I'm going to test it in another game. I'm going to have a look at it in that. I might have a look at it in what else we got? Could have another look in. I'm looking at games where the FPS is a bit more stable. I might have a look at it in Yakuza or Final Fantasy. I'll decide that. Anyway, we'll do this one first because I know the FPS is very stable in this when you're standing still. And I've got FSR4 in on it, as you can see there. Uh, right, so that should be alright. Again, very good game this. I haven't literally had time to play this, so at the moment, so I have worked out a way, so hopefully my AMD metrics are actually showing now, because I did enable it. So, at the moment I'm getting, on a FSR4 quality, 81 FPS, so I'll just remove that. And I've looked up the hotkeys so I can just enable it, so it don't just, because when I'm coming out of the menu it will change my FPS. So this is the best way to do it. So I believe it is Alt and Shift G. Yeah, so that activates AMD's fluid motion frames. So on the right, that's how much my FPS has gone up by. And it's not the FPS down slightly, but it's like 2 to 3 FPS I've found. So if we disable it, so yes, it's not. It's a bit like FSR4 where it only knocks 1 to 2 FPS off. Because how this works, because I literally couldn't care less about all this multi-frame gen, but I've looked into it and I did wonder why my FPS was going down a lot. And apparently the same thing happens on Nvidia's multi-frame gen, and I haven't had a chance to use it because I don't have the 5000 series obviously. But what it does, because the GPU is literally it's using more power really, so it's actually generating, it obviously works harder to generate these extra frames, so it's lowering the FPS, the base FPS. So if you're already sort of struggling in the game, like you're barely getting 60 anyway, it will knock your FPS down more. So I don't understand that. I'm not really, it doesn't really make me like it anymore. But I've found, at least with AMDs, it's like they're doing things so it don't knock your FPS down as much if you want to pump extra frames out. So I'm finding that to be better if you're looking at putting extra frames on with AMD's side. As you can see, it's hardly knocking it down at all, and you're getting 156 if you look to your right. I find I'm getting more on this anyway, so that's quite interesting. So I'll disable it on that, and what we'll do, did I actually, oh, I've got open right, just wanted to check, so we'll let it build up again. So now I'm going to activate, so we're getting, just look, so you can see top right, I'm getting 80 to 81 FPS. So now I'm going to activate lossless scaling, which you'll see in the top left. That is control this. And yeah, I mean, it's knocked it down to 69. I mean, the AMD metrics, don't look at that because it'd be the top left, so it's knocked it down by 10 FPS. So for me, that just makes me think it's a bit pointless using the lossless scaling. Now I figured this out. It's literally, I mean, I'm losing 10 FPS, so I don't see the point in that, and I'm getting less generated frames anyway. So for me, it seems a bit bloody pointless that. So, and in terms of image quality, I'm finding, I mean, the worst thing I've seen is probably a bit of ghosting on the mouse cursor, but then I saw that on lossless scaling as well. So it feels like AMD's fluid motion frames is better if you're looking at performance. And I mean, we'll have a look around. I mean, so it's looking good, the image quality. Again, it knocks your FPS down by like 1 or 2, because at the end of the day, the GPU will be working harder to pump out more frame generation. So that's understandable, but that's lossless scaling is taking 10 FPS off, which I think that is too much for me. And I'd rather not lose any FPS anyway, because this is why I wasn't for frame generation or multi-frame gen anyway. But so if I'm just losing that, we'll activate it. So what I found with this, you have to come out the menu again sometimes, because the hotkey won't work if you do it too many times. Right, so I want to see what the image quality is like when it's on. And this is way better than it used to be. So yeah, I can't really tell a difference when I'm turning it on for image quality either, to be honest. The most you're going to get is when you spin it round, but that seems game dependent because it looks fine on here. I can't see any ghosting. The other thing you got to make sure is you put the search mode on high and quality to get the best visual quality, so don't lower the resolution or whatever when you. And we can have a look again. So I mean, it is definitely less costly for me when I'm putting it on and off. Yeah. So I'm in a different area now, so I'm not getting 80. That's the trouble with some games. But it's definitely less costly for me. So I think I'd rather use AMD's fluid motion frames there, to be honest. And what I like is you can just toggle it on and off. So we'll try in one more game. Just thinking what game. Maybe this, because it seemed pretty stable, the FPS, when you was turning it on and off. Some games it goes up and down with FPS, so it's hard to monitor. Right, so we'll go back in it. But yeah, this is what they don't tell you. Like, Nvidia will push all this multi-frame generation on you, but then it turns out there's a bigger performance cost than you think. So you won't find that until you say you get a 5060 Ti, and you find out it's barely giving you enough FPS anyway. And then and you're losing more when you're using their frame gen. So this is what I don't like. They don't tell you all this shit. They just try and give you all the positives and leave out all the negatives of it. So this is why I upload stuff like this, to make people aware. So at the moment we're just running without anything on. Alright, so again, you will lose a little bit of FPS with AMD's fluid motion frames, but not a lot. So I think it's Control Shift Alt. Alright. Yeah, so it's still not gone past 70. About 3 to 2 FPS, depends. I think that's mainly what you're going to see. Sale it. Yeah, so it's not much at all. So it's very light. It's like AMD do things more for gamers, so you don't get a worse experience with your FPS. Sometimes it really, that's generally how it feels. So we're going to put lossless scaling on there. Alright. Yeah, see, it's giving you a lot less with your base frame rate, and I'm only getting 129. Yeah, so for me it just feels like, I mean, my first opinion of it, it was pretty pointless because it's fake frames anyway. And now I'm just thinking it's even more pointless. Now I've found out I'm losing a lot more FPS, and I'd rather use AMD's fluid motion frames now. If there's a game without frame generation like this game, I'd probably use that. Only annoying thing is sometimes if you disable it too much like that, you have to come out and go back in. But you'd probably only flick it on once or twice or 3 times at the most. Alright, there we go. So, I mean, it's hardly that if you're only losing a couple of FPS, because the GPU will be working harder, generating more frames. I can understand why, but then I'm getting more with AMD's fluid motion frames as well. So yeah, I mean, for me, I think that edges it now after I found out about this. So yeah, that is quite important, I think, because there is a bigger performance impact to using this, which I'm not happy with. Well, it does it well. I mean, but it seems it's more similar to Nvidia's sort of multi-frame gen, where there's a bigger performance cost. So I'd rather get a GPU that's got more power and not bother with it. But then it seems like this can actually smooth it out. I mean, frame generation in the game, you can use it if you're sort of struggling to smooth it out. But if you're getting a good enough FPS anyway, it seems a bit pointless, I think. So that's how I see it. I'm still not fully sold on it, but again, it's for games. If you're getting a lot of stutters, you're getting good FPS anyway. You can put it on with AMDs. There won't be a big performance cost at all. So it wouldn't really bother me too much if it's only like 1 to 3 FPS. It's probably like 2 to 3 FPS at the most, from what I've seen. Because that is one thing I've been noticing in the games in my previous videos. And it's not something I've been massively interested in. So I limited my knowledge by choice towards all this frame gen stuff because I really couldn't give a toss about it. But after having a bigger look at it, because I've used this before, but then I found out the image quality weren't good when I put it on because it was quite floaty, a lot of artifacts, and it looked pretty bad in Hogwarts Legacy. It looked really bad in the first version of this, so I didn't bother with it. Although you were getting a lot of FPS when you put it on. So you do seem to get more generated frames with this, and it's less of a performance cost. And you want to put it on that to get the best image quality. So, no, I mean, again, it just feels like AMD's technology makes more sense to me. So there you go. I mean, that's not being a fanboy, and I think that is just common sense. That I don't see anyone. Why would you want to lose 10 FPS using that? I don't understand that at all, really. Frame generation in the game, I don't think it's 10 FPS at all either. So because you will lose it. I mean that seems a bit weird to me, losing 10 FPS. And I did notice that on the 4090 the frame rate was going down by quite a lot. So that's how I see it. I mean other people might see it differently, but that's my honest opinion on it, on the frame generation, multi-frame generation. So there you go. I'm pretty impressed with that, to be honest. AMD's fluid motion frames, and it definitely, this latest update does make it a lot better. I think you might get, say, in that Kingdom Come Deliverance, there is slightly more ghosting on the cursor, but that's it. I mean, everything else is fine. It looks completely fine in Expedition 33 as well. It looked fine in shadows. So that could be a game issue with that, to be fair. Anyway, that is it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.